to an enormous degree then throughout the world, there has been the use, going back as far as we can find any record, of some sort of plant, either chewed or distilled or boiled or whatever, which transformed consciousness and was alleged to give mankind the vision of divine things. And therefore it was, in the precise definition of the term, a sacramental plant. Now then, the objection to this is very strong in the modern West. And there indeed have always been people who found that this kind of practice was to be deplored. And I want to, in a moment, to go into the reasons why. But it must be said, in the modern West, that the use of any material aid to spiritual insight or development is always looked upon with disfavor because it is described as a crutch. And our type of culture feels happier if it doesn't use a crutch. In other words, if you do it yourself. Somehow or other, the use of a crutch, or as people call it with that question-begging word, a drug, seems to be something which is a sign of weakness. If you are a real gutsy fellow, and if you're going to get this thing in a manner which is natural, legitimate, and a manner in which it will really stay with you, you ought to work at it by your own efforts. And you will find this extremely exemplified in, say, Christian Science, where they don't want to use even ordinary medicine for physical health, even though every Christian Scientist is dependent upon daily food, both vegetable and meats, and eats them quite gaily without any feeling of guilt, whereas actually he ought to realize that if he had sufficient faith, he would be able to live even without air. I suppose air is a crutch on which we depend, and earth is a lamentable ball on which we have to stand in order to hold ourselves up. But if you explore deeply into the doctrines and the history of almost all religions whatsoever, you will find that there is simply no do-it-yourself way. Invariably, whatever path and whatever method is followed, there comes a point in which the efforts of one's own will or of one's own ego have to be abandoned. You know perhaps that in Buddhism there are two schools which are respectively called Jiriki and Tariki in Japanese. Jiriki means one's own power, Tariki means another's power. And most forms of Buddhism are classified as Jiriki on the principle of the Buddha's final words to his disciples: "Be ye lamps unto yourselves, be you a refuge unto yourselves, take to yourselves no other refuge. Work out your own deliverance with diligence." And so in Zen, in Tendai, in the Theravada or southern forms of Buddhism, you will always find that meditation practice or spiritual growth is a matter of using relentless effort to control the mind, to be concentrated, and so on. But as this effort develops, its term always is that you reach an impasse in which your will and your ego comes to a state of absolute frustration, where you find that there is nothing that you can do to reform yourself, to make yourself unselfish, which is of course a form of lifting yourself up by your own bootstraps. That not only is there nothing that you can do, there is also nothing that you cannot do. In other words, your energy will be as phony as your relaxation. And at this point in the process of yoga or meditation or whatever it is, there must transpire a state of surrender, of total giving up. And it is precisely at this moment that the transformation of consciousness, which all these various religions are after, can come about. Because in one way or another, all of the religions, without any question, so far as I can see, all of the, I would say, the great religions of the world, we might exclude a few weird cults, but all of them are concerned with achieving a state of consciousness which is no longer egocentric.